This is the KBO Breeze electric commuter bike, and I'm going to be putting it to the test in this video. But first, let's take a look at some of the features. Starting at the top here, we have an LCD screen that powers on the bike and shows you how fast you're going, how far you've gone, adjusts your pedal assist modes, and turns on and off your headlight and tail light, while also providing a walk mode if you hold the bottom button. On the right side of the handlebars, it has a Shimano 7-speed shifter along with the throttle. These are mechanical disc brakes, and I've already swapped them to moto style to have the front brake on the right. Oh, can't forget about the bell. The fork has 80 millimeters of travel with a lockout. It has 27.5-inch tires with full fenders, along with a 500-watt hub motor and a Samsung battery that is supposed to get you 30 to 55 miles of range. There is a quick release seat post clamp for easy adjustment, a bottle cage on the bottom of the frame, and even a kickstand. It also has a pretty solid rack that I'm going to be testing out right away by putting my leaf blower on it and seeing if I can clean up the trails while riding them. Wow, that actually worked pretty well. I'll have to do some more. Well, it's not perfect, but I think it has some potential. If I mount it a little bit more solid and also make an extension with some angle to it to push the leaves off to the side, I think I'll be able to get a pretty clear path after 2 rides through. But for now, at least it looks super cool, right? Well, since I'm already out in the woods, I figure I might as well ride over some rocks, and these ones are looking like a good place to start and hopefully not end. Oh, look at that. Smooth as butter. Not quite as fast as a mountain bike, but just about as exciting. These tires in the mud on those rocks, I can see my tire tracks going every which way. I have to get a close up and hit it again, see how much I'm sliding back and forth. Okay, here I have a bit of a what could be technical climb on this bike. It's not really made to do stuff like this, but it's fun to try. Maybe this will be really easy since there is an electric motor, but those slick tires, a little bit of grease in the rocks, tight corner here, we'll see. Oh, almost easy. Oh. See, that time I thought I could stop pedaling for just a split second and get back on it, but there was a delay when I had power from the motor, and then I went to pedal again, I didn't have power, so I was relying on the power and it wasn't there. Didn't make it. Oh yeah, sweet. This one should be a bit more of a challenge. I'm looking at turning left up this. Got a couple pieces of concrete there to mix it up and make it even more tricky. So I'm going to try not to use the throttle. I didn't use the throttle on that one either. I'm really trying to get the feel of the electric power assist. So we'll see if I can get this corner up the hill. Oh, okay. It's gonna be weird. Oh, that's tight. I think that might be the way I have to do it. Just float the front tire, keep pedaling. That way I don't lose power from the motor. Hopefully get up that last little step there. Oh man. Feels like once you start going up something steep, the motor really lacks power. So, more momentum, a little more power before this steep part. Oh, come on, hop it up. I mean, that was clean, but I can't settle for that. Well, I had one little back pedal half hop in there, but I'm gonna take it for now. Battery's getting low, and it's pretty difficult to do something like this on something like this. It's definitely a lot tighter than it probably looks on camera. This one keeps you from being able to lean into it and float how you want, so you kind of have to stay straighter longer than you want to and then make up for it up the hill and trying to control the power. It's pretty tricky. You can't really stop pedaling completely or you lose that, and then there's a delay before it kicks back on. So you want to try to keep them moving if you can so you have power all the way to the top. Bars were not tight enough there. They moved forward. Well, that worked better than I expected. I was a bit worried about all the weight and lifting the rear tire up high enough to clear the chainring, but with the speed I had, it actually went pretty good. See how it does on the skinny. with the slicky tires. No good way off. Didn't have much of a plan there. Kind of slid a cool skid off of that. It's actually pretty tricky to deal with the electric power on something like this, that you are trying to go slow and smooth and balance, and then you pedal a bit and the bike goes. So might have been easier on a lower power assist. I've been running assist 5, which is a bit jerky right on takeoff. All right, that's going to wrap up this session, and it was a fun one. It's always fun to ride a bike like this in the mud, over rocks and logs. It's a commuter bike with slick tires. I don't want to break it. I feel like I could, so I'm trying to hold back and just do things I think it can handle that will challenge me on it. But definitely enjoyed it. I would like to do more, but the battery is dead and I don't have a way of charging it right now. There's an issue with that and they're sending a new one. I'll touch more on that later. But for now, we will cut to when the battery arrives and I can test it somewhere else. Okay, I've got the new battery in and charged up, ready to go. I'm going to be testing it out in a bit more of a normal situation this morning. I am heading to the chiropractor, which is about 3 miles away, so I'm going to commute there on this. It would be really nice and fun, but it's only 15 degrees out, so it's going to be a chilly ride. That's why I've got the extra hand warmers on, got a bunch of layers on, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it was pretty cold, but it went by pretty quick, and now I'm on my way home, taking the long route, and found this overpass. I'm going to see how high I can climb up with the throttle versus the pedal assist. Okay, I'll try the throttle first. Got a little curb there. Oh, it's not going very high with the throttle. Definitely, that's about all I'm getting there. Now we'll try pedal assist in the lowest gear on the cassette and the highest assist mode. Make it to the top. Look at that. I'm going to drop the seat and do some turns on the bank. I think that'll be fun. Let's do some switchback in here. Oh yeah. Good grip. Whoa! It's pretty goofy on this. Oh, it's hard to keep the power going exactly how you want it. It's actually pretty fun to ride this spot right here. Just kind of carve your way to the top, switch back in on your way up, try to keep the motor engaged. Pretty soon, you'll be to the top. Just gotta try not to hit your head on the top. You can cruise on down. Fun spot to session. I will say the brakes made that a little more sketchy than it should have been. Coming down that, I didn't know if they were going to lock up or not grab at all, so made it a bit more exciting, I guess. Might as well ride off-road a little bit. I also couldn't get much power out of the rear since it was hitting my fingers before it was fully engaging, so I need to adjust the play a bit here. Hopefully that'll help. There we go. There's a bike lane here, that's nice. Alright, I was riding down this gravel path and I found another overpass with another spot to ride. A little different than the other one. Got some loose marbly rocks with a step, but I think it'll go if I get a little speed, pop a wheelie, get the front tire up, and then lift that heavy rear. Oh, I'm definitely not used to that electric power. I let off and tried to go again, but there was nothing there. So need to stay on it longer and use that initial power from the bottom to pull the front tire up, keep my speed to lift the rear up. There it is. Jump down. Oh yeah. It was a little sloppy, but pretty fun. Well, I did not get to test this bike exactly how I planned. The battery delay put me into a bit of a time crunch and I missed most of the nice weather days, but I still got a few good rides in on it. The battery issue ended up being a charging port malfunction. The battery would work to power the bike, but it would not take a charge. They did replace it, but it took a little bit longer than I expected. This isn't something that I think should keep you from buying this bike. It could happen to any manufacturer out there, and I'm sure they will take care of you if it happens to you, but I thought I should mention it. Speaking of the battery, I did miss a feature earlier on. There is a USB port here that you could use to charge your phone or other electronic device. I also did a review of the step-through version of this bike, and you can check that out up here. But one big issue I had with that bike was the frame flex, and the top tube definitely solves that on this bike. But I also had an issue with the fork, and while this one isn't awesome, it's better than the one that was on the step-through. It's not showing the wear that one was. There isn't as much buildup of grease. The feel isn't great. It's really slow, pretty soft, but it is better than the other one. With a stiffer frame, I was able to feel a bit more flex in the wheels and the fork. I was a bit tentative on hitting the front end too hard or putting too much weight on it. Just didn't want to cause any issues up there. I do think an upgraded fork would really go a long ways to inspire confidence on this bike. Although for its intended use, it's probably not a big deal. Most people won't notice that, and it won't be an issue for them, but I always try to ride things a little bit harder, do things that the bike is not necessarily meant to do, and that's where I tend to find the weaknesses. The next weakness for me would be the brakes. They're not as strong as I would like, and they also felt like they pulsated a little bit. As I was going down that steep bank and applying even pressure, it felt like they were going in and out of power. They'd feel strong and solid 1 second, the next they'd be a little bit weak, so that made it hard to control my speed. Being mechanical, the cable also stretches, so I had to continually adjust the plate to get the full power out of them. For normal roads and normal riding, the brakes will probably be fine, but for me and the lines I like to ride, I found they held me back a little bit. I'm also not a big fan of these grips, but that's an easy thing to change. The last downside I will touch on is the seat. I'm used to one with a much more slim profile, so this wide one just felt weird to me. It wasn't so bad when I was using the throttle a lot, but the more I pedaled, the more strange it felt. Most of these things are downsides to me because I'm used to much higher level components. For the level of bike that this is, these are actually pretty fitting. And if you want more performance, you can always upgrade them. But I have a hard time at least not comparing them a little bit based on what I'm used to. Everything else is basically a plus. It rides really well on the road, and it will get up to 22 miles an hour really easy, relatively quick. It can also handle a bit of off-road. I didn't have any problem shifting it, and having all the different modes and even a throttle is a nice option. The fenders did a good job of keeping the rest of the bike and myself clean in the mud, and they didn't even rattle around a lot like I was expecting. There was some battery rattle, but other than that, the bike held up and I didn't break anything, so that says something, right? Overall, I think this is a pretty good value for the money, and if you use it for its intended purposes, it should hold up and perform really well. If you are interested in buying this bike, check out the link in the description below.